This episode is made possible by Red H Nutrition. Red H Nutrition is your one-stop shop for nutrition and wellness supplements. You can check them out in the show notes, and don't forget to use code RUNLIFTMOM, RUNLIFTMOM, at checkout to save 10%. Also, if you stick around to the end of the episode, you'll hear me interview the owner of Red H Nutrition about one of my favorite products. And as always, I'm a Zaya Active representative, so don't forget to get on my New Release Wednesday text message. Yeah, you heard me right. By going to newreleasewednesday.com, put in your phone number, and then you don't have to scroll social media all day come Wednesdays. I'm going to send you my favorite directly to your phone. Welcome to the Run Lift Mom podcast, where we're talking about running, lifting, and momming, not necessarily in that order. Today, I have got a big guest. That's right. I didn't do any voodoo magic. She was on my chicken list, and she wants to help community. I've got Miranda Alcaraz. You know her as the co-founder and coach at Street Parking, an online fitness community, but also a heavy hitter in the CrossFit organization. She was a competitive athlete for CrossFit, a very successful one at that, and then went on to teach on the seminar staff. She's taught over 300 seminars, taught thousands of trainers to then go make an impact in their communities. Guys, she is here to talk to me about her personal story with fitness, about making an impact on others and the origins of her now company Street Parking, and also as mothers, why more than nothing is so important. Without further ado, Miranda Alcaraz. All right, welcome Miranda Alcaraz to the Run Lift Mom podcast.
Thank you.
We are so glad to have you here. I'd love to, now I know you because I've been following the CrossFit world for a minute, but then I also know you because I'm a Street Parking member. Anyone that's connected with me online has seen me talk about it. I'd love for you to give me some background. You've been in health and fitness for 20 years. Doesn't get much more gold standard than that. Can you give us some of your background in regards to health and fitness?
Yeah, so I started out when I was 17 years old coaching spinning classes because my high school boyfriend's mother coached spinning classes. So I would go to those, and then she was like, oh my gosh, you were so good at, I don't know how you could be good at spinning, like as a participant, but she said I was really good at it and that I should get certified. So I got certified and I taught at the same gym. They got me a job there, and then I kind of spiraled into, I was Bosu ball certified and cardio kickboxing and cardio hip hop. So it was all group classes at first. I was in school actually for interior design during this whole time, but I just fell in love with the fitness space and ended up, after finishing interior design school, finishing up some schooling for being a trainer and things like that. So then I became a personal trainer, and I found CrossFit in 2007 before it was well known at all. I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, and there were no CrossFit gyms in the area. There were a few affiliates, but they were inside of a rec center 30 or 40 minutes away. So I started doing it myself, fell in love with it, started doing it with my clients, got kicked out of the personal training studio that I was renting space in.
No, why is that? Because you guys were doing CrossFitters being CrossFitty, doing stuff?
Yeah, it was a little too over the top. They didn't like that I was coaching more than 2 or 3 people at a time. And so I opened an affiliate in Salt Lake City, Utah in 2008 and had a CrossFit gym there from 2008 to 2011. Also in 2008, I got onto the CrossFit seminar staff, coaching the level ones. And between 2008 and 2016, I coached something like 300 seminars all over the world. So I got to go to every continent. I got to I know your husband's in the military. I went to Iraq and Afghanistan coaching soldiers. So that was a really cool experience. And I learned so much from just seeing fitness all over the world, basically.
I want to make the point. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Valerie Hunt, who is a pose level 4 and worked with Dr. Romanov and was on CrossFit Endurance headquarters staff with Brian McKenzie. And so, guys, if you're unfamiliar with the CrossFit world out there, this is, like Valerie, the best of the best of the best gets to be on this staff and train the trainer. I just want to give you the boost that you absolutely deserve, Miranda, for being on that staff to begin with.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It was such a great experience, like you're saying, to be around other really great trainers and learn from those people, because we watched each other give lectures and we watched each other coach. And one of the seminars that I ended up doing is where we would actually watch people coaching because they wanted their level 2 certifications and giving them feedback. So yeah, as far as coaching goes, I learned so much, obviously, from running my gym for 3 years and then doing that. At the same time, I was competing, wanted to compete in the CrossFit Games, did regionals every single year, and competed on a team in both 2014 and 2015. With NorCal CrossFit. And
so Run Lift Mom listeners, again, some people are in this world and they know what a big deal that is. Other people are like me and they're marathoners. And with the exception of like Boston, you can just sign up and go. You guys, you can't just decide you want to compete in regionals. This is something that is absolutely earned. And again, it's the best of the best.
Thank you. And so that was also obviously an amazing experience. That tested me as an individual human being, like learning what my body is capable of, because we trained 3-4 hours a day during those years where we were really serious about it. So on the weekends, I was coaching seminars. During the week, I coached some classes, did some other stuff for CrossFit, and then just worked out basically all day long. And in the 2015 games, I was injured and decided that I was going to be done competing. I was starting to get a little bit older. I think I was 33, 34. And so I moved to Southern California. I got a job. I was still working for CrossFit with the seminars, but I got a job at a supplement company and noticed that because I wasn't training all day long anymore to compete, what I was doing was traveling a lot for the seminars and for this new company. And I was posting a lot of workouts on my social media. And I had a pretty big following from competing and from coaching all over the world. But when I would post like a dumbbell workout in a hotel gym, or my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, when we would post something of us working out at his home, people would be like, oh my gosh, like tagging each other. We could do this. Instead of being like, oh, wow, look how amazing she is and what she's doing. It was, oh, we could do this too. And so I noticed that pattern and I thought, we should start like a separate Instagram page and post like all of our at home or travel workouts, because obviously people really like them. And that was like the bud idea of street parking.
So that's where it was born. And it's really cool because obviously this is the Run Lift Mom podcast. So we have a lot of listeners who are in the season of life. If they went to a CrossFit affiliate before, that's awesome. And then baby comes and you realize sometimes you can't get to the affiliate when the class starts, because guess what? Baby's not going to cooperate. Sometimes you're just so exhausted because you didn't sleep last night. They're in that season of life where maybe an affiliate isn't great for them anymore. And folks, again, that are connected with me have seen I grind in my garage because guess what? If I don't do it in the morning, I wake up at 4:30, I do my workout, and then life can happen and it doesn't matter. And because I can step out to my garage, it eliminates that barrier. So you say that's when kind of the that spark or street parking was born, when you guys started posting those things.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I do know that your podcast is mostly moms, and that's who you are, and that's the listeners, and that's who the street parking members are, like in large part too. But it's so funny because I was not a mom when we had this idea for street parking. Not to sound, I guess it's just the truth, I didn't really think about moms when starting street parking.
You were traveling for work.
Yes, I travel a lot, and Julian had a company, like a business that he was running, a meal prep business. And so he was super busy, and we lived in Southern California and traffic was just terrible. So sometimes driving to the gym for us was just like, I don't want to sit in my car for 45 minutes to try to get somewhere. So it wasn't at all like I didn't even have the mom, because I didn't know the mom life yet.
Right.
But like 2 weeks no, like two or 3 days after we launched the street parking Instagram page, I found out that I was pregnant. And it's so funny because I've told the story before, obviously, but the moment that I found out I was pregnant, I was like, well, no one's going to sign up for street parking now. No one's going to want to do it because like people want to only follow someone that's like super fit. And I was known for being this athlete, and Julian also had competed in the games and he was known for being this athlete. And now I'm just going to be this like pregnant 34-year-old woman. Like no one wants that program. And the exact opposite happened. And I learned so much about that stage of life that you're talking about, and about what it's like to work out when you're pregnant, and about being busy. Because now I had a job and I owned this new business and I was pregnant all kind of at once.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you bring up a really good point. I mean, we know that the street parking community congregates on social media, but maybe there are folks listening that they have another fitness community that congregates on social media. That's probably common denominator for a lot of folks. What I hear you saying, Miranda, is it's okay to be vulnerable with your season of life or your performance level. Like, be yourself, and somebody else behind you on the line is inspired by that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of women in my situation, high-level competitors, or even just someone who's known for looking a certain way, because I was definitely known for looking a certain way for years, they almost hide when they're pregnant. And it's not, I don't know that it's necessarily on purpose. They just don't think that what they have to post about is cool, maybe. Or they feel self-conscious, or they just feel like, oh, the people who follow me, they're not going to want to see this part of my life. And so they hide a little bit. And I had a couple injuries before. And so I knew that wasn't the case because I had shared about my injuries. And people really like appreciated that because it helped motivate them. It showed that I was a real person. It showed that sometimes everyone's going to have to scale back when they're injured, or at this point I was pregnant. So I chose to share it. I chose to keep, I was in the workout demos at like 7 months pregnant still for street parking. And just kind of like leaned into it because, again, what I noticed, just like I thought my hotel gym workouts people would think were boring, and they didn't. Me posting what I was doing while I was being pregnant, or building street parking while I was pregnant, people could relate to it. So I could do that too. Oh my gosh, like, look how she's still moving. Look how she's a real person. Look. So I do think it's important. And I have a big social media following, but even if you have 5 friends that are watching you, you might motivate 1 or 2 of them if you open up and can be honest and show what's going on in your life. So that's something that's super important for me to like a message for people.
I love that. If you are connected with folks, you are an influencer. And here, guys, what Miranda is saying about what we see, like being vulnerable, what we see as a weakness, oftentimes other people will be inspired by and view it as a strength as they watch you working through that season or that what you might consider adversity.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it also just makes people relate, like I said, like just relate to you and want to take your advice because maybe you understand them where before they didn't think that you could understand what they were going through.
I'll tell you something personal, Miranda. I've never related to you more than when I see you and Julian doing demo videos, and Knox, who is 2 years old now, is like toddling through your garage setup gym because I'm like, oh yes, that's my life. They're like us. They're just like us. It is relatable. It's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about, talking about respecting where your body is in its season or respecting your season of life. Sometimes we get in a scenario where we find it's too challenging, overload, I want to stop, I don't want to do anything. Tell me about more than nothing.
So I've learned a lot about fitness since becoming a mom. So I obviously, with my background, knew so much about fitness and what the human body was capable of and training different types of populations of things. I knew it. I knew about training when pregnant, I guess, through education, but not through experience yet. And so and I'm 37 years old now too. So that's different than when you're 25 years old and you're training. Not as different as people make it out to be sometimes, but it is different. And what I've learned, and what more than nothing, where that came from, is consistency is so much more important. And just showing up and doing something and maintaining a streak of consistency is so much more important. And the results are so much greater than people realize. I think people have a conception that I need to be all in 100% to a program, to a diet, to whatever it is, or I'm not going to do anything at all because there's no point. And what I've found through my own life, and this isn't through like, I didn't create the hashtag more than nothing as like a marketing thing. It was just something that I was actually thinking about because I've seen it. I work out so much less than I used to. I mean, literally, I do the same workouts that you do. I go into the gym. I'm in there at my home, same thing. I'm in there for like, including warm up, maybe 40 minutes. And that's like putting stuff away afterwards. And if you would have told me that I would be able to maintain this level of fitness doing that 4 years ago when I was still competing, I would not have believed you. Like, because I was training so much and I thought that I had to continue training that much to maintain like a high level of fitness. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not as fit as I used to be, but if someone were just to look at me, they wouldn't be able to tell, besides that I'm now almost 10 weeks pregnant, but they wouldn't be able to tell much of a difference. And it's just through consistency. And so the idea of more than nothing is if all you do are 3 days a week, you do some burpees and sit-ups and air squats in your bedroom, that will get you to moving towards your goals much quicker than if you're just doing nothing at all. So the idea is if that's all you can do right now and that's all you have available to you and that's all the time you have, do that. Start that, build consistency. And you'll be amazed that not after a week, not after 2 weeks probably, but after 3 months, 6 months, the differences that you'll start to see and the momentum that you'll start to build mentally and emotionally if I can do 10 minutes, like maybe today afterwards, I'll do 2 1-minute planks. And now you're just like adding little pieces, and it doesn't need to be as complicated or as, you don't need to go somewhere, to go to a gym, to hire a trainer and buy all these things. You just need to move every single day and move with intention. And when you're ready to move with intensity, that also helps. But just start somewhere. Just do something.
I love it. I mean, consistency, then intensity. Consistency, then intensity. We talk about this often on this show. My background, of course, is in marathon running, but guess what? Same thing applies there. And I love what you're saying about that consistency yielding fruit in our mindset. Because sometimes it's not the physical barrier we're going up against. We can get out there for 10 minutes. We can take a walk around the block. It's oftentimes our mindset, especially when maybe a woman has had a baby. Listeners of this show will remember Wendy Powell from Mutu saying, sometimes we get mad at ourselves postpartum because our body is not doing what we think it should be doing, or it doesn't look how we want it to look. So then we don't do anything. And that's not, we want to do what you're saying, and that is do something and let those fruits blossom.
Absolutely. I mean, I can relate to that. I was lucky before I got pregnant because I had a pretty serious injury in 2012 where I was in a car accident and I had to have a couple of my vertebrae and my neck fused. And so I was in a neck brace for a while. And so I learned about slowing down and I learned about being frustrated with my body and having to be patient before I got pregnant. And so I was able to be more patient and I was able to like tie those two things together a little bit more. But I absolutely understand what you're saying. And it's so important. Like you said, just I've never run a marathon. That sounds crazy to me. And if I'm a person who hasn't run ever or in years, like I can't just go find a cool like marathon program online and start with like day 1, 5 miles or 10 miles or whatever it is. Like go walk 1 mile first and build consistency with, okay, like every day for a week, I walked a mile and now I'm going to try to jog the first 400 meters. Like you've got to build up slow. And, but people think, well, if I can't jump right into the 5 to 10 miles on day 1, like what's the point? I'm never going to be able to do it. And they just give up.
Yeah. Great point. Don't jump into the deep end, guys. Give yourself some time to get there. So speaking of, some people are listening to this show and they're like, All right, lady. My garage does not look like the Goodwin Courage Corner. I've got my living room floor and my children nap for an hour. What would you recommend to them, Miranda, in the spirit of more than nothing and keeping it simple and building on that?
Yeah. So the great thing about the street parking community, and I don't know how active you are on like the Facebook group and things like that, but I have a really fancy, nice garage gym, which you've seen, but that's of course, because that's our business and both of us run it and that's super meaningful to us. But that hasn't always been the case. And for, I would say, so many of our members, a good portion of our members don't even have a garage at all. They're in apartments or places like that where they're working out on their balcony or they're working out in their living room, they're working out in their bedroom. We recommend people have a pair of dumbbells, but there's so much you can do with even if you don't have that. So it's set 10 minutes aside. And if you don't know exactly what to do, number one, you can't mess it up. Just do something. Do some mountain climbers, do some air squats, do some burpees, get yourself sweating. Especially when it comes to body weight, the chances of you hurting yourself or doing something wrong are pretty low. So just get moving and do something. Go for a walk like we talked about before. Maybe after you've walked a little bit, try jogging 30 seconds, walking through. Just do something. You cannot mess it up if you're doing nothing right now. And then once you have that, if you're unsure of what to do, find some fun workouts online. Find some, I mean, obviously we think that street parking is a great resource for that because we do program 4 versions of the workout every single day. And one of them is for super beginners who only have a pair of dumbbells. But if that's
I sometimes do. Miranda is referring to the shift workouts, and I have a 5-year-old and 3 4-year-olds, and we sometimes do some version of the shift workout together. Though, you guys, if the 4-year-old Goodwin triplets can do it, if you're starting at 0, it's something that you could do as well.
And that's another misconception that I think moms have is they're like, oh, well, my kid's just going to interrupt me. So I'm not going to be able to go like 100% full out. So what's the point of even doing anything? Well, the point of even doing anything is you doing a super interrupted workout gets you better results than you not doing a workout at all. So just grab your kid and squat with him if you need to, if he's being, fussy, or put him in the baby carrier and walk him, or jog with a jogging stroller, or that's going to get you more results. And if you just say, oh, forget it, I'm not going to be able to do it because he's going to be interrupting me. Or what if 10 minutes into my 15-minute workout, the baby wakes up? Great, you got 10 minutes, which is 10 minutes more than nothing. So we always do encourage that. If you're trying to put together workouts on your own, try to choose like a lower body movement with an upper body movement. You don't want to be, just squats and then lunges and then jumps and then all this, which is totally fine too. And we definitely make workouts like that sometimes. But if you're trying to keep moving, a lot of times doing like a push-up with a squat or a burpee with like a step up or something like that. And people would be surprised. Our members, you've seen it. When I say step up, you don't need to have a fancy box. People are stepping up on chairs, on their ottomans, on their kitchen,
There was a workout the other day and it was like 800 meters, 50 squats, 400 meters, 30 squats. It's squats and running. And I saw a picture in the Facebook group of a woman who had done hers pushing her child in a Bob jogging stroller. And I thought, oh, that's awesome. But I'll mention, and I hope that you can comment on this, any fitness community that you're involved in, it's important to engage. I'll use myself as a personal example. I've been a street parking member since April. I signed up the day after the Boston Marathon because I was like, I need something to keep me accountable. And I was happy with the programming. Don't be mad at me, Miranda. I was like, this is a great value for me. I don't care. I'm satisfied with the programming, no problem. And then a community member invited me to do one of the challenges that you guys hold fairly often. As a result of that challenge, I engaged with the community. And now I'm like, whoa, I wasn't getting the full value out of my membership previously. The programming was good enough for me. But can you speak to being involved in an online community?
Yeah, so going back to even when I was a personal trainer before even CrossFit or anything, one thing that I learned very early on as a trainer is to build a relationship with your clients, because people will quit a program, they're less likely to quit if they have a relationship with you. And so our goal for all the staff at Street Parking are to build relationships with you guys and to help you guys build relationships with each other. It's also why CrossFit gyms are so successful, because there's that community there, and their friends are there, and their 5 p.m. class is their crew that they get to see every single day. Well, when you work out at home, one of the big things that people that sign up all the time say is like, oh, I don't know if working out alone is for me. And yes, you are physically alone when you're working out at home most of the time, unless you have like a neighbor or a friend that comes. But when you do get involved in the community, you no longer feel alone. And one of the things that has been really important for us at Street Parking, which is different than most other fitness apps, is there's a workout of the day that everybody's doing some version of, so that you guys are all in it together. Where most fitness apps, when you sign up, you start on day one of whatever their program is, and then you're not on the same day as necessarily somebody who signed up 2 weeks ago. So yeah, you're doing the same program, but you're not in it together as much. And so for us, we've always stuck to that. Like that workout that you were just talking about, I did that workout 2 days ago, the day before it was posted. We went live and showed our members us doing the workout so that they know that it's not just them doing it, that we're doing it alongside. And when you see these moms in their living room, or I've seen the jogging stroller is a great story. I've seen moms running around their living room. Like they just run around their living room for 4 minutes, because that's roughly how long we told them that the run should take. And they just run around their living room and they'll post videos. When you see that and you're like, okay, like I'm coming up with excuses now because this mom ran around her living room while her kid was asleep in the middle of the room. Like I can do this.
Wow.
It's motivating as well.
It totally is. I love that you say, like, it's easy to quit a program. It's hard to quit a person. And I'm sure that that's why so many people feel so connected to Street Parking. Before we get into some rapid fire, can I ask you to brag? How many members does Street Parking have? The time of this recording is September 2019.
Street Parking now has 17,400-ish members.
Wow.
It's so crazy. And we're not quite to 3 years yet. Julian and I's goal was to have 100 members to help us pay our rent. We're like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. And we'd have this little community. And again, because I did not know what mom life was like yet, I didn't know how needed this was. So it's 70% women. A lot of those women that you've seen on the pages are moms. So it really hit that demographic hard, and actually soldiers, because they're traveling all over and don't have access to great equipment. And a lot of the deployed soldiers will do it with their spouse back home, and they'll connect on that. They'll be like, yeah, did you do the workout today? That's so awesome. So we love all of that.
There's a lot to be said for sharing in sweat with somebody, even if that person is far away, definitely. All right, Miranda, I'm going to take you through some rapid fire questions. These aren't related to at-home fitness or online fitness communities. Okay. They're just for fun. Tell me, what are some of Knox's favorite books to read right now?
So the great thing about Knox is my husband is fluent in Spanish. So we have a lot of books where in the book it's like English and Spanish, and I'll read the English version and Julian will read the Spanish version. He's got a book that's about the story of Coco. It's not the exact story of Coco, but it's kind of similar to the story of Coco. He really loves that one. I've gotten 2 of the Hallmark books that have his actual name in it. Have you seen those? Where it's like Knox the Pirate or Knox's Dinosaur Adventures. Like he really loves those because they're about him, and he, awesome, recites them and repeats them. So,
oh, I love it. Tell me, what advice would you give your younger self about fitness? So maybe take it back to the CrossFit competitor, right? And she can speak with her older self wisdom. What would you tell her?
I've thought about this a lot, and my initial response is to be like, take it easy. Like you are going to be older one day, and you're going to want your body and everything like that to not have so many aches and pains. And I had some injuries, but at the same time, Julian and I were talking about this the other day. We are both super satisfied in that I found out what my body was capable of. Like I went there and I found out and I pushed as hard as I could. And that's something to be satisfied with now. Like I don't have to wonder what if. And so I am pleased with that. I do have some bumps and bruises to go along with it and some injuries and things that I deal with now, but that's okay. So I don't know that I would change too much, to be honest.
I love it. It reminds me of running listeners will be familiar with Steve Prefontaine, who was a very famous runner in the 70s, actually from your neck of the woods on the left coast. And he famously, you guys, Olympic runner. I mean, there was no gray area for him. He went all out. He ran on guts, and he either really, really exceeded or the wheels fell off. Yeah. There was no in between. But what he said was, like, if somebody beats me, they're going to have to almost, tap out to do so. And so I love that. And that reminds me of Prefontaine. All right. And then finally, tell me, if you've got an hour to grind in the gym, you've got a full hour. I don't know, maybe you're taking a nap. What kind of workout are you doing?
Yeah, well, right now I'm 10 weeks pregnant. So it would probably be like a lot of just my normal workout and then stretching or doing some prenatal type stuff. But take me out of that, take me to 3 months ago. And I would probably, the thing that I miss doing is I don't do pretty much any lifting at all. And I did love Olympic lifting. I did love practicing gymnastic skills. So probably just a little bit of that mixed in with the workouts that I already do. I love the street parking workouts. They're so much fun. And I would say the biggest thing that I would make sure happened is that my husband was there with me, because a lot of times we don't get to work out together because one of us is watching Knox or one of us worked out earlier or whatever. So working out with him and doing like some lifting and some gymnastics and the street parking workout for a full hour would be like so awesome.
I've asked this question a lot to a lot of guests. You're the first person that has mentioned who you're sweating with. And I think that's awesome. And probably everybody just fell in love with you like I did. Miranda, I'm going to put depending on the player somebody's in, guys, you're either going to click details or you're going to swipe up in the player. I don't know where you're listening, but you need to do it because it's a hyperlink rich show notes. And you're going to be able to see Miranda's More Than Nothing podcast and go over there and subscribe, as well as connect with her on the socials. Thank you so much, Miranda.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I hope you have just an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miranda, for coming on the Run Lift Mom podcast and sharing that message. We all need to know that more than nothing counts, it matters, and consistency will get you there. I am feeling empowered. Thank you. Real talk, you guys, I am small potatoes compared to Miranda. The fact that she said yes is kind of a miracle. Zoom is the platform that I record these conversations on, and it's a video platform. Miranda, cute thing she is, she didn't even bat an eye when she saw my straight up closet. I'm pretty sure that's when it occurred to her that I was small potatoes. Here's what I love about her. In the follow-up, she continues to care about this audience. She continues to take a personal investment in me as a member of the street parking community. Here is an athlete, a mom, a business owner that cares, that we can look up to. Miranda, you are making an impact, and thank you. Until I get into your earpiece again, remember, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. That's from 1 Timothy 4:8, and this has been the Run Lift Mom podcast. All right, Katie Danger with Red H Nutrition. Listeners can dip back into episode 35 to hear the entire episode on sexy versus non-sexy supplements, and you blew my mind with the latter, especially about A to Z vitamins. Can you tell me about Factor 10?
Yeah, Factor 10 multivitamin, it is a different approach than your typical A to Z Centrum or one a day that you might be taking currently. So we focus more on herbal ingredients. It does have your daily allowance of vitamin D, A, and zinc because those are really important for general health and wellness. But we took a focus on thyroid and liver health. So what that means is we're focusing on the cellular level of health and wellness. And if you focus on the cellular level, your entire system is going to be optimized. And things that people feel, they have better hair, better skin, better nails, and they generally feel better and they're getting their full spectrum wellness.
Hey, Run Lift Mom listeners, you know I'm the mom of 4 kids under age 5, and therefore I am always looking for ways to work smart, not hard. Anchor is the smartest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you why. First of all, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. But Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so then it can be heard on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a whole lot more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is quite literally everything you need all in one place. And y'all, it's free. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you for listening to the Run Lift Mom podcast. This began as a passion project in February of 2019. I wanted to uplift other women in the areas of running, lifting, and motherhood. Here's what's happened. I've not only personally been uplifted, I have been blessed by the relationships with guests on this show, by the relationships with listeners of this show. Thank you so much for helping me continue this passion project. Here's how you can help even more, and it will take you less than 10 seconds, dear listener. I want you to rate, review, and subscribe. Rate, review, and subscribe. It really, really helps other people find the show, and it keeps my show sponsors happy.